Get this, this force was so strong that at the neighbor's house, look at these windows. It blew out the windows, the sheer force of the blast. But we've been tracking power outages all throughout the day. And it's not doing it right now, but these power lines, they've been moving and the wind has been knocking that power out and to the driver's seat of this car. So I can't answer phone calls, I can't send texts, I can't scroll on my phone. All of that is considered distracted driving. But what's actually wrong with the post-tension cables, picture it like this. So there's supposed to be no slack in them, and right here you can see it's strung really tightly. But upon a routine inspection this summer, they realized there was some slack in there. Choose to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, we would still fall short of a living wage. And a living wage just means you have enough money to maintain a normal standard of living. And then once they do that, all eyes on the big screen, watching some national and local coverage, watching all of those precincts reporting, all of the numbers come in, anxiously waiting to see who the winner is going to be. There were shots fired at a Trump rally. We are watching the NBC special report as we speak. Take a look at this video. So what happens now? Well, the jury did recommend to the judge the maximum sentence for Wilson on each offense, which is a life sentence.
And there are a lot of people in our state who feel like the federal government's got too powerful, that it's gone too far.
That's Republican Representative Bill Hardwick, who is sponsoring round 2 of the Second Amendment Preservation Act. He says he's written around what the court ruled was unconstitutional.
What we do is we kind of matched up with the Senate version.
Okay.
Both the House and Senate have the same version.
Okay.
And kind of make it clean and simpler.
However, House Democrat David Smith disagrees.
The old SAPA is moving its way through the courts right now. So it's too early to file another one until we find out what's going on with the original.
Smith opposes both versions of this bill.
Basically handcuffing local law enforcement. So why are we coming in and telling them they cannot? We're actually taking away the freedom of counties and states in Missouri.
Sheriff departments and police departments have spoken against this legislation, including Sheriff David Parrish of Lewis County, speaking at a hearing late last month.
This type of legislation will hamper and create major obstacles for our officers and our deputies throughout the state to go and catch these bad guys.
Additionally, other law enforcement agencies have pointed to issues the law creates when working with federal agencies. Captain Brian Lear of the Boone County Sheriff's Office echoed this in our past reporting, saying, quote, "We fully support the Second Amendment, but the reality of the law was that it severely hurt our ability to cooperatively work with the ATF to address criminals committing violent crime." And Columbia Police Chief Jill Schluty referenced SAPA when talking about CPD's recent purchase of a new gun ID technology, saying, quote, "We had this piece of technology a few years ago, and then the Second Amendment Preservation Act was passed by the state legislature. And that really impacted our relationships with our federal partners." In Jefferson City, Eric Lovelace, KMU8 News.
He's persisted, he's resilient in the face of it.
And I truly believe he's the kind of guy that's gonna beat it.
From the years of 2015 to 2019, the only thing on Dylan Wisman's mind was dominating a wrestling mat. Wisman was a 4-year starter for Mizzou at the 184-pound weight class, where he won 1 MAC conference title and qualified for nationals twice. But Dylan feels most at home out in nature.
Got about a 0.6 mile walk that way to the scene of where it all happened.
It was Mizzou Wrestling's alumni weekend in 2023. Dylan was out on a deer hunt near Fulton. His favorite place, in a quiet deer blind, is the start of where his life began to change.
I'm sitting here hunting and all of a sudden started peeing blood. My side starts cramping and it ain't no normal pain. Anyone who knows me knows I got a high pain tolerance, so I knew something was wrong.
It wasn't until months later Dylan found his next opponent, and this time it wasn't on the wrestling mat.
And you have a growth on your right kidney and it is cancerous and you're diagnosed with stage 3 kidney cancer.
It was discovered that Dylan has HLRCC, or hereditary leiomyomatosis and renal cell carcinoma, which is a genetic condition that predisposes people to kidney cancer. Little is known about HLRCC, so there aren't many doctors who specialize in treating it. So I got busy and looked up HLRCC specialists online, and that led me 4 hours north to Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, so we have the infusions here. There's a pump.
Dr. Dean Elhag, an oncologist and hematologist, as well as the president of the HLRCC Foundation, says a huge sign to look for are growths on the skin called a skin leiomyoma.
These skin bumps are pearl-shaped. You know, they have a pinkish color to them, but they can be painful.
And Dr. Elhag became interested in treating this disease because he says it is beatable.
You have to know what you're looking for and understand that this condition is not as rare as people once thought it was. And we could easily identify it now and make a definitive diagnosis.
That's if you catch it early.
If you know you have the condition, then you can undergo surveillance. So if a kidney cancer pops up, you can address it quickly.
Dylan didn't catch it early, and before receiving treatment, he hit an all-time low. The cancer progressed to stage 4, spreading to multiple organs in his body. But Dylan is no stranger to a fight.
It was scary. You know, your hips are out. He had the scar from his kidney removal at that time. You know, it's still in recovery before treatment could start.
In comes Daniel Lewis, next to Dylan on the championship boards in the Mizzou wrestling room, and by Dylan's side during this fight.
And that's when it was like, damn, you know, my friend is really going through it. Like, this is life or death.
Dylan says guys like Daniel are the reason he's living life to the fullest now.
It was kind of just like a good revival. Kind of pulled me out of a mental slump that I was in.
We'll call this moving again, Dylan's version. Skydiving, skiing, hunting, and traveling the country. But one question looms in Dylan's head. How will he be remembered?
It's more to life and the little things, our relationships with our friends, family, and loved ones. And, you know, just be grateful for everything. Every day is not promised. So just every day I wake up, you know, is a blessing. Yeah, I was a wrestler. Yeah, I did a lot of great things, but I want to be known for giving back and kind of helping others.
His vision, bringing others with cancer to a place that's given him so much.
Just get him in the outdoors and let him experience and kind of realize that, you know, nature is an outlet. It's a source that everyone has around them. You know, it doesn't cost anything. We can go out in nature for free and enjoy what God gave us.
Looked, and it was like 3:15, and everything started. I heard this loud, god-awful boom.
A rude awakening on a frigid November night.
Because the cold air was just pouring in the house. It still is.
Luana Hagner lives directly next to this house that exploded, and she says it's been a little harder to keep warm after the blast blew out her windows. But she says her son has been working around the clock to keep her warm.
My son is my angel. He takes care of me like you wouldn't believe.
Her son, Kirk Smith, came as soon as she called.
About 3 in the morning that day, or 4 in the morning, and worked till about 7 or 8 o'clock that night, and then the next day, right away, hell, I don't even know what today is.
And Hagner says even though she lost some of her collectibles, she's just glad her neighbors made it out of the blast.
At least he's alive, and that's the most important thing.
And while it was a close call for Hagner, a little bit of humor is keeping her spirits high.
You know, I'm pretty darn strong for an 80-year-old broad.
You seem sure like it. Have you called?
And for her son, the hard labor isn't so hard for someone he loves so much.
She's the best woman in the world. You can ask anybody. They'll all agree with me.